Urgency management. Teams who hear these words, urgent and crisis, too often, well, the word starts to lose its meaning and eventually it starts to get tuned out. If everything is urgent and all things need to happen yesterday, then something further up the chain is probably going wrong. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about urgency management and a few ways to manage that in your teams, building awareness, hearing weak signals, classifying, and downgrading. We all have a full plate of work, and then something urgent comes along that needs to be done yesterday. We push aside our scheduled tasks and take on this urgent new thing. We don't ask what of our regular assignments we can drop, nor which of our deadlines we can delay to compensate. So in general, we just put our heads down and we get it done. We catch up on our other work in the evenings and weekends and just carry on. And then another urgent project comes, and another. These urgent projects then morph into crises, and the usual run work slowly starts to become urgent too, just because of sheer neglect. These overwhelmed, high-performing teams usually don't complain or escalate. They just work more, organize better, do it faster, and they feel safe in their over-delivery. But like the boy who cried wolf, teams who hear this too often, it starts to become the way of doing business. If everything is urgent, in the end, nothing is. Now, most of the time, leaders are not actually doing the work themselves, and they sometimes forget how much time certain tasks take to complete. A lot of these good, high-functioning teams will spare their leaders the details of all the little things that go wrong in the normal workflow. You know, these endless back and forth emails when a supplier misses a step, or the little mistakes made along the way that take hours and hours to resolve. There's no shame in saying no when the general goal is to deliver a high-quality result with the original load. We all want to keep our promises and deliver on time. But in a culture of high engagement, saying no is not really standard practice. These faint signals that might be coming from your team are probably too weak to hear. Here are a few ways to manage that urgency. The key is awareness of one's own language, listening for those faint signals that a team is suffering from overload, and classifying projects in no uncertain terms into urgency categories, downgrading the stress levels from screaming urgent to indoor voices. So step one is just awareness. The first step is to just pay attention to what you're saying. Is everything a crisis? Do you ever hear yourself say things like low priority, or slow burn, or longer term, or not important? Or is your own language peppered with terms like burning platform, disaster, screaming mess, has to be done yesterday? Repeat to yourself, if everything is urgent, then nothing is. Step two is listen very carefully for weak signals within the team. There are signs that a team are suffering from an urgency overload. There are verbal signs, some kind of intra-team microaggressions, conflicts or misunderstandings, and fewer offers to help each other out. Because each thing takes time. If you want to help your colleague log in and deal with how to register a new meeting room, this takes time away from the schedule. And if people are too busy, then they're not going to help each other out. There are also these nonverbal signs, fewer spontaneous social moments, less laughter, fewer jokes, fewer moments of lingering by that coffee filter or by the water cooler, as we say. Even fewer signs of gratitude. Hey, thanks for doing this for me. Hey, thanks for picking that up. Hey, thanks for letting me know about the meeting. There are also the written signs. If you're constantly reading emails and texts that open with the words, sorry I'm responding late, or apologies for not getting back sooner, and those kinds of things. And if you find yourself needing to remind people to respond to emails from a few days ago that are probably buried under a stack in the e-box, then you know that people are just overwhelmed. There are also physical signs. There are simply fewer people in the office. People use their commuting time to catch up. Generally, when you commute to the office, you lose about an hour and a half a day. And some people are simply so overburdened that they use that commuting time to just catch up. That means they come into the office fewer times per week. There are also fewer social events that are structured. So your Friday night pizza events or your Monday muffins, and fewer people volunteering to organize them because all of these things take time. Step 3 is to classify what you are doing. Have a look through everything you and your team are doing on a weekly basis and prepare a series of digital or paper stickers. Some people work with a Miro board. This is like an agile board that has a digital interface. And some people work with giant pieces of paper in the office. What is your team doing? We arrange our urgency into levels. Red is a crisis, orange, urgent, blue, normal, green, low priority. So red, certain crises need immediate attention. These are the things we don't expect and we can't control. They are happening to us. These things happen all the time. They come out of nowhere. We have to deal with them without warning. We have to drop whatever we're doing. We have to mitigate it before it becomes something bigger. These get the kind of mental red sticker, and they truly do need to be done yesterday. One level down from that is orange, let's say. Highly important things. We can see them coming. We have a marginal amount of control over them, tight deadlines, high visibility, high profile. They're very much worth putting to the top of that list and labeled urgent. Not a crisis, but a high impact task that has everybody's attention. One level down from that is a blue sticker. These are the kind of regular run tasks that we do just about every day, part of our regular cycle. These are things that if they're a day late now and again, they're not going to destroy anybody's day. They're not going to disrupt too many other processes. But a blue sticker is a signal to the team that they have to that they can take up other things if they have to. They can let this one sit for a day or so, 24 hours, even 48 hours. And they don't have to ask permission if they were to delay a blue task, which means one less CC to the world email. And then finally, we have the green category. This is something that does not have to happen immediately, regardless of the importance or value or visibility. It is a low priority task. It doesn't mean it doesn't get done. It doesn't mean that it dies a slow death in the parking lot, but it can be scheduled during downtimes. You can start an email that has to do with this kind of a project with "this isn't urgent, but ... that says enough." Practice does tell that these openers don't even really reduce waiting time very much, but it does a lot to reduce the general blood pressure level of your entire team. The next step is to set up the board. In a typical agile board, you will have certain areas to work with: a backlog, a sprint cycle, the parking lot, and what you are delivering every single 2-week cycle. At the beginning of a sprint cycle, we build the board together as a team. All the items, whatever their urgency levels, whatever their color is, they sit in the backlog. As a team, we pull at those items one at a time. Take the red ones first, the orange ones, they come out, they populate this sprint cycle. We give them top priority. Then we filter in the blue tasks, the green tasks. Whatever cannot fit into that sprint cycle goes back into the backlog, and it sits there until the next cycle or until something else gets done and there's space being made for it. If more red and orange items appear, they kick the blue and the green ones off the chart. So these things that come up that nobody has any control over, they simply come in from outside. They kick a blue, they kick a green thing off the chart. Back to the backlog they go, and we give them our attention first. But then it also sends a signal further up the chain that urgency comes at a cost. We make choices, we prioritize, and we cannot just keep piling the work higher and higher again. Finally, step 5, this is a wonderful visual to take it further up the chain. This is a great visual tool, and it makes it clear to everybody up the chain that your team has a certain capacity to get work done in a certain amount of time. In Agile talk, this is called your team's velocity, the rate at which you can get stuff done without killing the members of your team or causing heart attacks for yourself as a team lead. But this wonderful board you can show to your N+1 meeting, your board member, your stakeholder meetings. You show the board to explain this is the maximum amount of work that can get done, and we need to make choices. We need to prioritize. That is the one thing that a team cannot really do on their own. Only you, as the leader, can make those priorities. So I hope this has been helpful to you today. This is all about making those choices and managing our urgency.